Hello and welcome back to Let's Talk Real Estate. My name is Kristen Jock with Compass, and for this first episode of the new year of 2020, I wanted to speak about the expectation of a timeline for both a buyer and a seller when purchasing property in New York City. So to start off, as a seller, what could you expect as far as a typical timeline? So from the time that you might inquire with an agent about marketing your property for sale, I think that it's reasonable to expect anywhere from 2 weeks to 30 days for any type of pre-marketing of the property. So that would be meeting with an agent, discussing your options, listing the property, and then the agent preparing the pre-marketing to put your property on the market. From the time that they actively launch your property on the market, you should receive a reasonable, viable offer between 60 and 90 days from going on the market. And that is obviously variable given the time of year and the conditions, but if you are realistically pricing, effectively marketing, I think that it is reasonable in this current market to expect a viable offer between 60 to 90 days. From the time that you receive an offer, it's generally about 2 weeks for you to go through the process of negotiating the offer, for the attorneys to finalize any contract language, and for all parties to execute the contract. And then once you're in contract, a typical transaction usually takes between 45 to 60 days to close. And that would effectively take the buyer and the seller through the process of obtaining any financing, tying up any loose ends, ordering title, and things of that nature, and moving out. So from start to finish as a seller, it's pretty reasonable to expect on the faster end of things somewhere around 4.5 months all the way up to 6.5 months to complete the sale of your home. Now, as a buyer, it's really, I think, quite more variable. Obviously, some buyers approach the process with very constrictive time limits. They might be relocating from out of state. They might have a baby on the way and expanding their family and needing more space. They may be trying to work around their children's school schedule and relocating into a new neighborhood. But if you are coming as a buyer with realistic expectations and a pretty strong eagerness to purchase, and not so much of an opportunistic buyer that might be willing to see as many properties and wait as long as it takes to find the right one, or potentially never find the right one, then it should reasonably happen within a season. So if you figure you're starting your search somewhere towards the end of winter, beginning of spring, it is pretty reasonable to see enough properties in order to make a decision about one by the end of that spring cycle or the beginning of summer. So realistically between 2 and 3 months. And then from there, it would be a pretty similar timeline as to what I mentioned on the seller side. So about 2 weeks to get into contract, and another 45 to 60 days from contract to closing. All in all, making it a slightly shorter time period, on the quicker end of things being somewhere around 4 months to up to 5 months. But again, it's always variable depending on the requirements of the buyer and the seller, and their expectations and realistic state of mind. As always, I hope that this information is useful in helping to prepare yourselves either for a purchase or to sell a property. If you have any additional questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. And I'm looking forward to speaking with you about a variety of topics in real estate over the course of this new year. Take care and see you all soon.